Oh, I thought we were doing an ad today.
What does it take to be a creative in retail automotive? Well, this November 13th through 15th, my friends and I are going to show you how. We hope you can join us at the Modern Retail Conference as we put on the industry's first ever creative track for creatives, practitioners, marketers. If you are creative in retail auto, or if you have creatives on your team that you've just been looking for somewhere to send them to get them energized, motivated, and learn some of the tips and tricks that other people are deploying at scale, you need to send them to spend a few days with us. We're talking Kyle Mountsier, Darren Doan, Ali Pinion.
Was that a hair flip?
And Nathaniel Brecklick, some of the best, most innovative and open-handed creatives I know. And we're all getting together to spend a few days with a small group to actually workshop creative ideas. We're gonna learn about tools, we're gonna learn about live deployment, we're gonna learn about best practices, and we're actually going to make things. This isn't theory, this is actually practice. So we hope to see you at the Modern Retail Conference's Creative Track, November 13th through 15th in beautiful Palm Beach. We hope you will come spend some time with us.
All right. If that doesn't get me fired up, little drum solo by Darren King, I don't know what's gonna. We got news. First, we have a reaction video, and we have a Rickroll to talk about. But there's a whole lot. Today feels like a really great show. It just does. Not that every day I don't feel like it's really great, but some days it's greater.
Yes, today is definitely, like, I actually texted someone, I think today's going to be a good show. You should watch. Like, that's how I feel about it. You know,
this is the last show in our year.
It's the last show in our first year of shows. Also, I just have to note this because you've said this, like, the fact that the drum solo on that video is only for that video is next level. So it's pretty dope that's what we rolled out with that. I'm super proud of it.
It's the little things that make a difference. It's the little things that make a difference. Okay, so does everyone here know what a Rickroll is? If you have teenagers, you know what a Rickroll is. But Rickrolls have been around for like a good decade now. Rickroll is when someone sends you the Rick Astley video, Never Gonna Give You Up. Is that what it's called?
Never gonna give you up. So basically what it is, it's like, it's a link that looks like something else that you would want to click on, like a news story or something like that, and it goes to boom. Right. Right. So it's absolutely
perfect. When you do that, you're like, oh, I got Rickrolled. And I think there was like a company in Texas that did this big drone show over Dallas, and all the drones lined up into a QR code, and everyone's like, what is the QR code? And then when you scanned it, it was actually that video. So they Rickrolled the entire city. And I am happy to announce, I believe we are the first organization or individual to ever Rickroll their entire email audience in the header.
We did it. We did it.
Kyle got me. I read the email this morning. I opened it up because at the end of the day, Kyle's the one that like makes sure the email's all buttoned up before it sends, and it often means he writes the lead. And I opened it up this morning, and I'm like, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. And the context was, this is dealers to consumers, but that song is now in my head, dude.
I thank you. You're welcome to all, however many people are gonna open that today, for getting it stuck in your head for a minimum of an hour. You're welcome.
But that honestly, though, I think that is the most contextual Rickroll I've ever received. First of all, it was in text, right? It's got the word text in it. But secondly, the context you gave it was perfect. Like, oh yeah, that is the heart of auto dealers to consumers. Like all the people and all the energy and the hate and the trash talk going around. The dealers like, we got you. We're never gonna give up. We're never gonna give up. It was so good. I was so happy. I was so happy, so happy, so happy. Hey, you just saw the ad this morning. If you're just listening to the podcast, we rolled the ad for our creative track that we are putting on at Brian Pash's Modern Retail Conference coming up very, very soon in November. We still have 6 weeks. You still have time to register if you're creative or you're in the creative space or you have creatives and you're always like, hey, I wish we could inspire our creatives more, which Kyle and I hear that across the country all the time. We made something just for the creative. So you can go to ASOTU.com/MRC for Modern Retail Conference. ASOTU.com/MRC. You get a discount there. Please come spend some time with me and Kyle and like the director of music videos that has like 1 billion views on YouTube. Darren Doan, Ali Pignon, Nathaniel Greklick, real practitioners. We're going to just spend a few days together making some really amazing things. And we promise you will go home energized and inspired. I'm going to give you that promise.
Absolutely. Yeah. Here's the thing. The other thing that you're going to do is you're going to go home and you're going to be like, look at this cool stuff I made. And then you're going to be able to do similar stuff, and you're going to have layouts and templates and all that type of stuff. So like, and I would say this, like, even if you're not a creative and you're going, how do I inspire my creative? Sometimes it's just like learning to like have a new eye or mind's eye for what you're looking for or what to communicate. And we'll walk through that, because we realize not every creative can come, but there might be an owner or general manager that can lean into that conversation.
Yeah, marketing manager, general manager, sales manager that has a creative bent, like for real, like this is a spot for you. And not to mention all of the sessions and conversations that aren't part of the creative track that are also going, the main panels and all that are unbelievable. Just Brian always puts together an amazing list of dealers and industry partners that are at his events. Really high value conversations happen at these things. So this will be my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this will be my 6th or 7th Brian Passion event.
Wow, that's cool.
And I don't travel lightly, right? When I travel somewhere, it better be worth it, because I don't like to leave my family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, speaking of really strong conversations,
segue
time. This is an important one.
Everybody lean in. If you're listening, if you're watching, we got to have this conversation. We're about to roll a video that's gone viral on TikTok. It's been up for 10 or 11 days, something like that. And we just we need people to recognize what the one-off instances have the capacity to do to shift the perception of retail automotive. And unfortunately, today's is not the positive one. But we've got to draw a line in the sand on the way that we believe we need to interact. As
trying to see how many views this has. It has 500,000 likes.
Right.
So it's just got to have millions of views.
Probably a couple views.
It's got like 9,000 comments, 3,500 shares. I can't see the views on the internet, but either way. And all of the comments have like thousands and thousands of likes.
Right.
So, all right. Just going to contextualize this. Roll it. Truth hurts.
I went to go buy a car yesterday at this dealership. I don't care. I'm name dropping. So I walk in. The price online was $23,000, which is a great deal. For the car that it was, $23 was a great price. So I get there and I'm like, hey, the price is still $23. And they're like, absolutely. So I test drive it. Great. I'm like, awesome. So we go to work numbers and they're like, okay, so we've broken down the costs. And I'm like, hey, what's that right there? That $2,500. And they're like, oh, that's the Blazer cost. I'm like, the Blazer? And they're like, well, yeah, it's a package that we have to add on. Basically what it is it comes with 2 years of free maintenance and some floor mats for the car. And I was like, oh, no, thank you. I don't want that. I don't have any use for that. And they're like, oh, no, it's not optional. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, it's not an optional package. It's $2,500. And I was like, so the car is $25,500, not $23,000. And they're like, no, the car's still $23,000. And I'm like, okay, then I don't want the package and I'll pay for it at $23,000. And they're like, well, no, you still have to pay for the package. And I'm like, okay, well, then I'm going to leave. And then they're like, well, what can we do to make this work? And I was like, you can charge me $23,000, which is what the price is. And they're like, well, we can come down half of that price. And I was like, no, I want to pay the $23,000. There's no half or anything like that. I came down here for the price that was listed. I'm not paying over that price. And I'm not paying for this weird BS package. And they're like, well, it covers maintenance for the first 2 years. And I'm like, it's a fairly new car. Maintenance at best, just oil changes. That's at most, what, $200? So you're just ripping me off $2,300. And they're like, well, it comes with floor mats. And I was like, I can get floor mats for $50 on the internet. I don't need those floor mats. And then the best part is, after we have this argument for a while, they go and get the hire
manager. This one actually, this really hurts right here.
After he comes, he's like, all right, well, let me go speak to my boss. And he leaves, and I'm sitting at this salesman's desk for like 20 minutes. And then after a while, the salesman goes, are you waiting for something? And I was like, yeah, for the sales manager to come back. And he goes, oh, he's not coming back. And I was like, what? He's like, oh no, he went home like 20 minutes ago. And I was like, he just left. Like, this dude was like, he's not making a deal. I'm just leaving. He said he was coming back and he just didn't. So weird.
So
here's the thing. Let me give you a few data points. Now,
well, the first data point is that they have the dealer's name and address, Google My Business page up in the background if you're just listening to the podcast.
Exactly. So, I mean, at this point, I just looked it up. 4.5 million people have seen this video. So it's not like I'm blowing anything by saying Lindsay Chevrolet. This is what's wild, right? When we think about, we had this conversation with Dealer Rater about the percentage of positive, right? This dealership has a 4.4 star review, 6,000 Google reviews. On Dealer Rater, a 4.3 with 1,200 reviews. On Cars, 639 reviews at a 4.2. So here's the thing. They're probably doing a lot of really good things.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a wide swath of the way that they're doing business, the way they're engaging customers, the way they're engaging customers is doing good work. The problem becomes when we, as an industry, continue to shoot ourselves in the foot by like just communicating poorly. Here's the thing. This guy might have actually shown up for that car at 25.5 if we knew that we needed that for the profit margin. I don't know, maybe not, but he was saying it was a really great price. Maybe the car was something that he needed. But the problem is what we did is we weren't aware of the situation, who was potentially in front of us, which at any point could be someone that could go viral.
Yeah, let's just fix that. Who is in front of us? It is someone who could have 5 million people see what they have to say about this experience the next day.
Exactly. His highest previous views was like 132,000, which is a pretty big TikTok account, but still, like, it's now gone viral to the point of like being in news sources. So like, what does that do? Not just for that dealership, but for that industry. And so our just like our out and out ask is just quit with the junk. You know,
we had a conversation, real talk. Kyle and I had a conversation, and we were considering what we do in service to this industry so that we can serve consumers. And we kind of made this distinction. Like, number one, we are for the retail auto dealer network. We believe hands down, it is the best way to sell and service vehicles in every community across this country. And we will fight for that to the bitter end.
Yep.
Well, that does also mean we have to call out the practices that are besmudging the industry and ruining it for everybody, which means that we do have to call out some dealers and some dealer practices. And we realize we aren't, for instance, NADA, right? Who has to lobby for the whole body. We are able to have a little bit more of a precise voice and say practices like that were just described in this video are ruining the perception and ruining the experience. Not even the perception. It's just like no one likes to buy anything where they're told one thing and given another. Every time a dealer does that, they ruin it. Every time they do that, they're 1 second away from 5 million people looking at all car dealers and saying, that's what I'm talking about. Go ahead, click on that video, read the comments section, right? It becomes a game of, you know, back in Looney Tunes, they call it pile on the rabbit, right? Yep. And everybody jumps on the rabbit. And so, like what Kyle said, like there's got to be a lot of good things going on in that store because the reviews show it when you look through the reviews. And that's
when
great.
You read them. They're talking about the people and how they care at that dealership, right?
But this is just like, guys, gals, this is inexcusable. Like, we can't keep doing this. And if you have dealer partners or friends, you know, other dealers have other dealer friends that are doing this, man, just gently and caringly, like, encourage them in the other direction. Yep. That is really what it is going to take, because we can't do it. You know, YouTube, TikTok reviews can't do it. They won't do it, right? Like, I don't know. I bet the Blazer package is still on every vehicle that they're trying to mark up by $2,500.
Yeah,
maybe not. So, I mean, that's just our real talk, loving talk out of care for this industry. We have to be better. Like, we cannot let those things happen, right? We can't let it happen. Nothing about that TikTok video made me think, this hasn't happened 100 times already this month to somebody else.
Exactly.
There's nothing about this that communicates, oh, this was a one-time thing.
Yeah, like I like, you know, some YouTube stuff and TikTok stuff, you can be like, oh, okay, that's like you perceived that weirdly and you took your own kind of thing in there. Like, this I know without a shot, like that was level-headed and probably something that's happening on a regular basis at not just that store, but a lot of stores across the country. And there's no excuse for it.
There's not. Well, I think that's enough of that.
In a different tone about dealerships.
Oh, speaking of EV, I don't know. I think we just really need a segue button to just
get out of
change the energy of that one.
Come over here.
All right, we're going to get into our regularly scheduled programming. A new study finds that 74% of EV intenders would prefer to buy an EV from a dealership.
Yes.
As opposed to purchasing directly from an auto manufacturer or a third party. participants who already own an EV or EV intenders or younger buyers are more likely to prefer purchasing from an automaker, not a used car, not an independent. However, a majority of each group still wants to buy from specifically a dealership. And like they had a little asterisk in the study. They said, the more familiar people are with EV technology, so if they already own one, or if, they're a younger demographic, they still are more likely to want to purchase direct than the other people. But still, of those people, I'm trying to get this right, of everyone, dealership is the preferred method to buy an EV.
Yeah. Which makes a lot of sense because you're looking for an authority to walk you through and guide you through a process that's unfamiliar with a product that's quite unfamiliar. Like you think about the early days of Apple, it's like you didn't go buy that thing online. Like you needed to go touch it, feel it, talk to someone, all that type of stuff. And now, cell phone and smartphone adoption becomes a lot quicker. And it's like, boom, we're ordering everything online. So I think we'll see a transition there. But at least, and this was the key one. There's a few data points you can look in the show notes, but this was that things that are unacceptable. Third-party call centers for service inquiries, 71% said that would be an unacceptable interaction. And I think that's core to people actually need to talk to someone about this because it's something that they don't understand and need to approach with a new mentality. And so thinking about setting up and communicating to customers saying hey, look, we have EV education. Hey, look, we answer the phones when you need us. We have the capacity to help you walk through an EV purchase and decide if it's right for you. That type of comfort and calm in an EV shopping process, especially if you're in a brand that has EVs right now and is leaning into that, is a way that you should be communicating to customers because they're asking for that. This survey is telling us.
It does. And this survey is a 2022 EV Forward Dealer Deep Dive. It's conducted as a part of advisory firm Escalant's work to capture the attitudes, behaviors, and opinions of next generation EV buyers. I think one more notable point is that people want an in-person service experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of buried in there. I read through the whole thing. But people, here's a quote actually from Escalant's Vice President of Powertrain Innovation and Energy Transformation. He said, people are much more comfortable taking their vehicle to a dealer than they are, for instance, having a mobile service unit coming out and doing it in their driveway or garage.
Interesting.
And they took what they did was they just debranded every experience.
Right.
And they kind of walk people through is this acceptable, unacceptable? Would you prefer this? Would you prefer that? So the element of the survey, I like the rudimentary, kind of the way it was given. They walk people through the service experiences. They took all the branding off and they say, would this be acceptable, unacceptable? Right? I like it. It's not too convoluted. It's pretty clear. So it's good news for us. Speaking of used EVs though,
Segue
Time.
Which is a new market segment because we're now getting into a larger swath of EVs being available used for purchase because of trades happening more frequently.
Oh, leases ending. Yes. Leases ending too is a big one. So I learned a whole lot this morning prepping for the show. I did not know you could buy a used car from Tesla. But apparently
you didn't know that.
I did not know that. And Tesla's used car business is claimed now to be as big as some publicly traded used car retailers, according to Jimmy Douglas, Director of Sales and Delivery Operations at Tesla. Most people, he says, don't realize Tesla runs its own vertically integrated nationwide online used car retailer. Most people, that's me. It's as big as some publicly traded used cars retailers you've definitely heard of, despite no Super Bowl commercials or wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men. So most likely he's talking about, Carvana, Lithia, maybe AutoNation. It's impossible to prove the claim, that they're bigger than, because Tesla, the way they report used car earnings on their P&L is under service and other. But that line item has grown 50% in the last year. And kind of the attention this is getting is because of a job post.
It's wild.
How about that? Job post on LinkedIn, actually.
A new job post on LinkedIn for an associate manager of the used car quality team. And people were like, but it's pretty interesting. To find it on the website is, it's pretty easy. Like you can shop and then you can go straight to filtering by used cars. Like it's not a hard thing. So
I just never thought that Tesla was, I knew they took in trades and liquidated stuff, but basically so of course I then like had to start searching it, look through the whole frequently asked questions page and look through the whole shopping experience this morning. A couple things stuck out to me. Number one, that you cannot buy your Tesla off lease. I know that Ford has made that change and it became a big thing. Tesla's already had that in place, so they take control of all the off-lease inventory. Some other things, there are no actual pictures of vehicles. They're all the same stock image. That's a new vehicle. And I'm like, man, how does the reconditioning show up? Because look, anyone in this business understands that there are no used cars that have been driven the same way.
I have seen some serious curbed Tesla wheels.
That's fixable. I bet they fixed it.
I know.
I wonder what the standard. I wonder what the standard is, because I was thinking more of things like the smell, right?
True. Yep.
The smell, pets, kids, all the things, just people that just don't, that just trash an interior, right? There's little scratches, scuffs on the tailgate, when you put it up in the plastic and the hard plastic.
If I had to guess, they got some pretty strong reconditioning.
I do too, but it's still a used car, and they still probably have some brand leeway in there, right? Because you're getting the Tesla. They're super expensive. They're still unbelievable. It's unreal how expensive the used Teslas are. They do have a lot of them. All the photos are stock again, but I mean, you can easily on the site, you can shop what inventory they have. You can arrange your terms. You can see where you can pick the vehicle up at one of their centers. And there's a very clear list, and they show you it's $500 to get it transported there. So, I mean, it is pretty clear and pretty clean. It just surprised me. It feels like you're shopping for a new Tesla because of the stock images.
It does feel like that.
So I wonder what the expectation level is, right? When you show up and it doesn't.
I would have a high expectation of that car.
Dude, based on the pictures, I have a brand new expectation.
We talk about this all the time. It's like once you set an expectation, you have to deliver on that brand. I would expect a very, very quality vehicle. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Like, it's funny. Our friend Ty Caputo used to talk when he talked about used car reconditioning. He's like, nobody wants somebody else's junk.
No,
right? That was his reconditioning philosophy, right? Nobody wants somebody else's junk. You got to make it new. You have to make the car stand tall. So I'm curious now. I'm super curious on what the Tesla used car delivery experience is like. But it's cool. It also lists the warranties. You get a 1 year, 10,000 mile warranty on all used cars purchased on top of whatever the balance of the factory warranty is. And they make it pretty clear, like, hey, this is the vehicle's warranty. This is the remaining battery warranty. So they do a good job with that. And again, it's like Tesla level clean as far as the website goes. But just there you go. I mean, it's out and about, zero marketing dollars spent, because Tesla is a brand first company. I mean, It helps when you have the richest man in the world as your CEO feverishly tweeting about Twitter. Tweeting about Twitter, right? So meta. It's so stinking meta. Speaking of meta, I think it's kind of meta.
Stop. Segue.
Time. I think so. I think it is. Look, I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Actually, not too many.
No one.
But the NFL is punting the Pro Bowl. Say goodbye to the Pro Bowl, who was used to be held in Hawaii the week before the Super Bowl, which was a game that was very kind of low energy, not that fun to watch. Right. And last year they had a record low viewership as 67 million people, record low viewership ever. So the NFL, in what I believe to be a brilliant customer first brand play.
Oh, it's genius.
It's so good. I want to go. I've never wanted to go to the Pro Bowl, but I want to go to this.
Yeah, so the Pro Bowl games will integrate new challenges where players showcase their football and non-football skills in unique competitions. The revamped programming allows the top stars to show off their skills and celebrate their accomplishments in a fun, memorable way, surrounded by their families and friends. And here's what I'm hoping for, Paul. I'm hoping for...
And we can get press passes.
A chubby bunny. I want to see a bunch of Pro Bowlers just shoving marshmallows in.
Oh man, but this has influencer marketing written all over it. It's unbelievable. So get this, Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions, his company Omaha Productions, will be partnering with the league on the event, and Manning is going to play a key role in coaching it's going to culminate all of these events. in a flag football game.
They're like, these are the greatest players in the NFL this year. Flag football.
Velcro this to your belt. Right? No, it's going to be amazing. I don't know how they're going to do it with the linemen and the receivers.
It's going to be hilarious and exciting, and the social media stuff that comes out of it is going to be unbelievable.
It's going to be a frenzy.
And I think it might get sticky. It might get
sticky. It's not in Hawaii, right? It's in Vegas, right. So it's easy to get to. It was on the field that the NADA party was on, right? That big, amazing stadium. It's back there. I can't wait to see what happens. I think it is social media waiting to explode. I could just you got to get the dude perfect guys in there and doing some trick shots. Like there are so many plays on this where the NFL is just, I think, doing a great job of expanding the footprint for the popularity of the sport.
They should bring us into podcast. It would be perfect. We'd be right on time for that.
What are they not thinking right now? That's number one on their list of things they're not thinking. The NFL will also be using the opportunity to feature key integrations with philanthropic organizations and mentoring organizations like the Boys and Girls Club. So what a great opportunity to just be kind of like in the middle of the country, easy to get to, in the fans, doing fun things. I think the players have a great opportunity to build their personal brands, right? By being a character, right? A character in the play. So I'm just super excited about this. I love the NFL. I've always disliked the Pro Bowl. I think it's just a weird thing that I never watch. So I will certainly be tuning in to the Pro Bowl games. Maybe, Kyle, with press passes for ASOTU, because we cover pop culture.
There it is.
Oh, well, a little bit longer of a show today, but we wanted to talk about the important things. And we know that you are going to go out today and you're going to love people more than you love cars. Encourage your friends to do that too, because we need some positive peer pressure up in this thing.
Right.